Kathy Lundy is next. I've introduced Kathy Lundy many, many times at conferences. Let's just talk about me. I taught with Kathy. But Kathy and I first taught a course together in 1980 in a gym when AQ courses were 6 weeks long. In a hot gym, we taught drama together. We co-taught that class. And we become friends. We're drama colleagues. And I have introduced her. Right now, her role is at York University as an educator. And you're going to meet a very passionate person who cares about making student voices be heard. That's my message with Kathy. She really respects the different voices on different levels of kids. Her books through Pembroke. And she has brilliant title for books, folks. That's amazing. What Do I Do About the Kid Who was Kathy's first book. 50 ways, count them, 50 ways to turn teaching into learning. And she has a nice framework of doing that. And What Do I Learn About the Kid Who? Her second book, Leap into Literacy, is action strategies and making literacy come alive by having the kids work together and collaborate. And then this brilliant title, brilliant cover, Mary, Teaching Fairly in an Unfair World, is Kathy's message for honoring the different voices in the classroom. She also has, Pembroke has a series of flip books, and this one's called Attention Please. So folks, that's an invitation to pay attention to my friend Kathy.
It's always difficult. I don't have a pocket for this. Anyway, life is good, full. And you wanted me to put something over your... And here's the lip gloss. So, Lair, come and hold this. I need a henchman. No, you're going to have to sit here and hold this. Or we're going to have to put it somewhere. Never mind, life is good. Yeah. I love men. All right. Oh, life. Well, isn't Lisa incredible? Give her a hand. Oh, my goodness. Every time I hear her speak, I just think she's just such an amazing teacher, and we need those kinds of people in our lives. And you're amazing, too. Here you are on a gorgeous day, sitting in this room, spending some time figuring out what it is we need to do to make things better for kids in schools. And I salute you for that and honor you for that, because I think teachers do. We used to, I'm from the Toronto board, or the old Toronto board, and we used to have on every truck in Toronto and every pencil that's ever handed out, you know, teachers make the difference, and they do. So I just want to salute you as well, because you make the difference in every kid's life. And I'm going to talk about today teaching fairly in a pretty unfair world, and focus in on those students who actually find themselves on the outside of the school experience for all sorts of reasons. And I think that one of the things that we have to think about all the time as we work in classrooms is about student voice. You know, whose voices are present, who's there with us. Those kids are wonderful, and we need to, you know, embrace them and do all sorts of good things for them. But whose voices are absent? Whose voices are discouraged? Whose voices are sort of silenced? Who's not heard from very much? And I guess in my work with my student teachers at York University, I sort of say to them, there are kind of two things that you have to kind of begin with when you teach, and that is you have to check yourself, right? You have to check all the time that you're working the room and making sure that people are there with you and being aware of who's on the outside of things. And you also have to make sure that you don't judge. Now, I know we're supposed to assess and evaluate. Don't get me wrong. I know that the ministry is filming, so I have to make sure I say that. But I'm talking about judgment in another way, that I think that you have to be open to the locations of your students, open to who they are, where they're from, what they're going through, what they've been through, what they're facing when they leave your school, and leave your classroom. You need to actually teach to that particular student as well. And I think as we work through in Ontario, in one of the most diverse places on the planet, we're constantly working towards teaching fairly in a very uneven kind of situation. And you all know what I mean. You all know. We talk about differentiated instruction, and linked to that, of course, is the whole equity and social justice agenda about how do we ensure that all voices are heard and that we honor those students who might find it difficult to kind of find their place in the sun. And so I'm going to start with a poem. And it goes like this. Written by a student. And it's called My Heart is in My Throat. Excuse me while I clear my throat. I might pause with uncertainty and turn a little red. But please remain seated. I'll be with you soon. Excuse me while I clear my throat. You may hear a few squeaks and cracks and see me shake uncontrollably. But please remain seated. I'll be with you soon. Excuse me while I clear my throat. I may close my eyes and look invisible. But I'm still here with you. I've never done this before. I've never sung a song, my song, of inner hopes and fears. They may seem silly, childish, and inscrutable, and may take me a minute, even a year. But please remain seated. I'll be with you soon. I love that poem for all sorts of reasons. I love it for the fact that it was written by a student, 17-year-old. I love the fact that that kid is telling us all sorts of things that we need to know. We need to know that every student enters our classrooms wanting to find his or her voice, wanting to sing his or her songs, wanting to tell us about who he or she is in this really difficult kind of world that we live in. And it also tells me that students know that for some of them, it's going to take them a minute. Done, tick, boom, move on, right? But for some of them, it's going to take them a year or more. And I think that, time is, for teachers, the thing that we're, always worrying about, dealing with. I have a student actually named Ryan, who, I love this story so much. Last year, after his third block, I think he was in Hamilton actually, but never mind. He comes to see me. He says, Kathy, I was wondering if I could talk to you for a few minutes. I said, sure, come on in, Ryan. And so he says, I'm getting married in August. This was like May, right? He just finished this third block, and it wasn't an easy block for all sorts of reasons. And he says, I'm getting married in August, and I just don't think I can teach and be married. And I said, no, you can't. Break up with her. But actually, he's right? It's too much. Let's all get divorced and move on. Because it is a lot of work, and you're constantly trying to figure out, how to make it kind of work for you and work for them. But that poem teaches me that students are aware of it. That it's going to take me a little bit of time to get there. And I've just been working at the Minnikensing Elementary School in Rama, a First Nations reserve. And I've been spending time working with grade 4-5s and with grade 8s and preparing them for a kind of situation where they are teaching teacher candidates from York University who are going to be working in First Nations communities as teachers for their 2-week blocks. Helping them find ways of articulating through their own voices what it is that these student teachers need to know about Ojibwe students in order to teach them well. And they said a number of really interesting things. One of them was this kid Dennis, who's he's a dream child. He doesn't think he's a dream child, but I know he's a dream child. He says what teachers need to know is that they need to spend time to walk us through. And I just love that. That we need to spend time, so they know about time, but they also he knows that teachers need to stand beside them, not in front of them. and they need to walk us through, physically walk us through this world and help us. And I loved that when he stood and said to these student teachers, all 75 of them in a room, you need to walk us through. It was so amazing. I also love these kids a lot. You know, I worked with the grade 8s the very first time, and we did this game. It's in my book. It's called The Applause Connection, which I wanted to call Pass the Clap, but my editor... Thank God for editors. Hey, Lisa. There, you know, she sort of phones me up at that point. She wasn't going to actually send it through email. Are you kidding me? You know. Anyway, I call it the applause collection. It's very funny. Anyway, these kids were amazing. I won't demonstrate it to you because it'll take too long, and actually teachers aren't very good at it, but never mind. These students were fantastic. So I have this teacher candidate or scribing, you know, what's happening in the classroom, and I say to these students, why are you so good at this? This is fantastic. They were amazing. It was an amazing experience. And this kid sitting there, and she's going, we're native. Circles are part of our culture. Doesn't she know that? What a dummy, you know. Anyway, what they taught these student teachers was amazing, and I'll talk a little bit about it later. I'm very conscious of time because, you know, I used to teach students who would leave anyway. You know, they'd walk out the door, wait, see you minutes, out the door. So I'm always conscious of that. I have to kind of spend time wisely.